From thick forests to remote plains, along wild mountain ranges, into colourful seas, the Middle East is a melting pot of landscapes and climates. Despite being home to some of the harshest environments on Earth, a surprising array of wildlife can be found here. But how has life managed to flourish at this crossroad of continents? Stretching across huge parts of Western Asia, Europe and North Africa, the Middle East is made up of 22 individual countries. Egypt holds a unique position. It is the only landmass connecting the African and Asian continents. This country is almost entirely covered by deserts. The average rainfall can be less than an inch a year. Despite the lack of water, a surprising amount of life can be found in this region of the Middle East. From great civilizations to some of the most durable of the animal kingdom. And here in the Sahara, a desert that covers much of Egypt and North Africa, the temperature can be deadly. The Khamsin winds carry sand, dust and heat from the south, helping increase the temperature, often reaching a staggering 116 degrees Fahrenheit. To survive here, the animal kingdom has had to adapt. These desert ants have evolved extra long legs, elevating their bodies from the heat of the sand. But this alone is not enough. Too long in the sun and these ants will fry. Getting lost out here would mean certain death. But research shows that these tiny ants are big problem solvers. Not only do they keep count of their footsteps, but they use the sun as a compass, building a map as they forage for food. The size of this meal could be a problem. Fortunately, the ant's mental map means it can return directly to the colony. But it's dangerous work. Around 17% of these ants die each day. This horned viper has also evolved unique traits to help maneuver the seemingly endless dunes of the Middle East. Contracting and contorting its body, it slides across the terrain using a technique known as sidewinding. Not only does it allow the viper to move efficiently over the soft, shifting sands, but by keeping its body off the ground, it reduces overheating. Snakes are cold-blooded and require the energy of the sun to function properly. But the blistering heat of the Sahara could be fatal. The snake will need to find shelter from the elements. Something has caught this serpent's attention. Caught out in the open, this lizard, also known as a skink, could be in big trouble. It's a perfect meal for the horned viper. But this lizard has a secret weapon. Diving into the sand and swimming to safety has given this lizard its name, the sandfish skink. Out of luck, the viper will have to continue on its way empty-handed. But in the Sahara, it's the cooler night temperatures when most animals venture out. This small rodent, the lesser Egyptian jerboa, has a hopping run that allows it to cover up to 6 miles a night in search of food. It's sometimes likened to a tiny kangaroo due to its incredibly large hind legs. Like many animals of the Middle East, it has evolved around its environment. With little water around, it hydrates itself through the plants it eats and keeps itself clean by taking baths in loose sand. This helps remove oils and clogged dirt from its fur. But it's no time to relax. The horned viper is an excellent ambush predator. The snake's toxic venom would be fatal to the vulnerable rodent. The jerboa's body heat and movements allow the snake to home in with deadly accuracy. The rodent won't stand a chance against the viper's venom. Deep in the Sahara, a horned viper is watching its next meal, an Egyptian jerboa. A missed chance, but the night is young. The deserts of the Middle East are home to many other deadly creatures, including the iconic deathstalker scorpion. This slender, delicate individual hardly seems dangerous. But its sting is lethal enough to kill a human. This large spider, a solifugid, would make a good meal. The spider is constructing a new burrow. Like many animals here, it hides from the heat of the day below ground. The scorpion has poor eyesight, but it's able to detect the vibrations caused by the spider's burrow making. But the solifugid is no pushover. It's armed with gigantic jaws, the largest in relation to body size of any animal in the world. This could go either way. The scorpion's deadly sting reigns supreme. But the deserts of the Middle East are home to more than just rodents, insects, and reptiles. In fact, they are all potential victims for the world's smallest fox, the fennec fox. Its huge ears can be flooded with blood to dissipate heat, helping to keep the fox cool. A fennec also has excellent hearing, allowing it to pinpoint the quietest scuttle. Even prey moving below the surface can be found. A scorpion is a dangerous snack, but the fennec's needle-like teeth soon disable its sting. Despite the challenges of surviving in the Sahara, life finds a way. But deserts aren't the only defining habitat of the Middle East. Turkey is the most northern country in the region. Sitting at over 3,000 feet above sea level, at its center lies the Anatolian Plateau. The Pontic Mountains in the north and the Taurus Mountains in the south act as barriers to the moisture that would otherwise roll in from the seas. Creating a harsh, arid environment, but one which supports high numbers of unique plant species, which in turn support the animals found here. After many months in hibernation, the warm spring days allow this male spur-thighed tortoise to become more active. And he's got one thing on his mind. A female has caught his attention. Tortoises' slow pace means they rely heavily on their shell for defense. And for this female, that includes the aggressive advances of males. But how long can he keep it up for? At the center of the Middle East's Anatolian Plateau, romance is in the air. A male spur-thighed tortoise pursues his desired mate. Finally, she gives in to his charm. These tortoises are part of a rich ecosystem. Nothing goes to waste. And that includes the tortoise's dung. It's an enticing meal for the dung beetle. It takes a lot of energy and time to form this precious food into a dung ball. But others are already arriving in hopes of a conveniently packaged meal. It's much less effort than making your own. The battle's won, but the struggle isn't over. Just moving around is hard enough. And speed is essential. Too long in the sun and the nutritious liquids in this ball will dry out. Going uphill is hard work. But sometimes downhill is even harder. Luckily, the dung beetle's tough exoskeleton can take a real pounding. Burying the dung ball in a moist patch of earth will provide a safe place to devour the hard-won prize. But dung is not the only resource that requires protection around here. The Middle East was one of the first places in the world to domesticate sheep. Bred for wool, milk and meat, domesticated animals can often be more vulnerable than their wild counterparts. The shepherd guides them to new pastures, protecting them from predators during the day, but nighttime requires additional help. Dogs were domesticated from wolves over 10,000 years ago. These dogs have grown up with this flock of sheep. They have developed a close bond and are accepted among the flock. the shepherd settles in for the night, the dogs will remain on guard, ready to defend the flock at a moment's notice. If it comes down to it, these big, strong and fearless dogs will fight to the death to protect their flock. The spiked collars, known as totes, are there to protect their vulnerable throats against attack. Once the terrifying hunter, through generation upon generation, this descendant of the wolf has become the guardian of its prey. As the sun rises, Anatolian ground squirrels begin their day of foraging. After a long winter hibernation, there is a flurry of activity to feed, mate, and raise their young. But it's a short year for this male. In just a few months, he will once again be preparing to sleep through the autumn and winter. But first, he needs to bulk up. Using his strong claws, he can make easy work of tough plants. When in groups, these squirrels constantly chatter to warn of any potential dangers. But foraging alone means he has to be extra cautious. A marsh harrier is on the hunt, and the squirrel would make a perfect meal. This Anatolian ground squirrel is blissfully unaware of the danger above. Using keen eyesight and hearing to detect a potential meal, the marsh harrier is deadly. Out in the open, the squirrel doesn't stand a chance. He'll have to make a run for it. Underground is out of reach, but these birds are opportunists, and this one has already homed in on a much easier catch, a rotting carcass. But below the harrier, deep underground, powerful forces are at play. Laying at a jumble of tectonic plates, deadly earthquakes still plague the Middle East. Crushing and molding the landscape has turned this region into a mountainous land, aided through time by a violent, volcanic history. This powerful past has created fascinating geological forms, arguably none more so than Cappadocia in the heart of Turkey. Around 65 million years ago, volcanoes erupted here, covering the region in lava, basalt, and ash. Each eruption can be identified by the different layers stacked upon one another. The ash forms a soft rock known as tuff. Over time, it's eroded, helping to form the network of valleys. And these mysterious columns known as fairy chimneys. The soft tuff is shielded from the elements by a hard cap of rock, preventing the pillar from erosion. Below these pillars lies a network of caves and crevices. Animals and human alike have used these formations as shelter for thousands of years. The volcanic influence of this region continues to this day. Although Mount Argius is now dormant, it towers over Lake Yai. The lake is home to one of the most iconic bird species, the greater flamingo. They are drawn to this volcanic landscape's mineral-rich lakes. Concentrated through evaporation, the lake is incredibly salty. Little can survive in these waters. But various crustaceans, algae, and insect larvae thrive here. The flamingos have evolved special traits to help feed on such tiny prey. Their long legs enable them to wade in deep water, mixing up the mud below the surface. Their unusually shaped bill contains filters to trap their prey. And it's these colorful crustaceans and algae that give the flamingos their iconic bright pink plumage. Gathering in huge flocks, often made up of thousands of individuals, these graceful birds are social creatures, thriving across many different parts of the world. The extremes of this high country contrast with the coastal areas of the Middle East. It's a milder climate on Turkey's coastline, resulting in an entirely different ecosystem. The beach is home to a variety of life, including these ghost crabs. Their name derives from the generally pale complexion of their exoskeleton. Maintaining their burrow is an important daily chore. Their peculiar eyes give them almost 360-degree vision, helping them keep guard. Although the moving tides continuously fill their burrows with sand, they also provide an occasional bounty. Gliding through the deep, a female loggerhead turtle approaches the coastline. She returns to the very beach she was born on over 20 years ago. Making her way home to lay eggs on the same beach as her ancestors. But finding the right spot is tricky, and moving across the sand is much harder than in water. But she must go beyond the tide line to make sure the eggs will be safe. She will only mate every 4 years, but but over a season, she can lay up to 600 eggs. If she feels threatened or unsure about the surroundings, she will return to the water without laying any eggs. But having selected the right spot, she begins making her nest. Further down the beach, another turtle's nest is stirring to life. The hatchlings break free, all at once. Taking their chance to make a run for the sea. But the ghost crabs are waiting. The hatchlings are a perfect meal for the crustaceans. Along the coastlines of the Middle East, defenseless loggerhead turtle hatchlings are running for their lives. Only the lucky will survive. For those that do, this is just the beginning of their life in the Mediterranean Sea. On its southern shores lies the Sinai Peninsula, a land bridge between Africa and Asia. The high slopes of the Sinai Ranges can help capture moisture, allowing life to take hold. What little water there is supports a surprising array of animals. The Egyptian cobra is the largest snake in this region, growing to just under 10 feet. Blending in with its environment, it hugs the shadows to seek out prey. And it spotted a rather more flamboyant inhabitant. This lizard, the Sinai agama, is trying to attract females with these elaborate push-ups. It could be an opportunity for the snake to strike. Loaded with a venom strong enough to kill an elephant, the lizard won't stand a chance. But an interesting twist changes the dynamic. The cobra is now the one in danger. It'll have to deploy defensive tactics. Drawing back ribs to extend and flatten the area around its neck, forming a hood. This behavior suddenly makes the cobra appear much larger and more aggressive, enough to put off an inexperienced hunter like this buzzard. With the standoff over, the lizard can return to his performance. This region of the Middle East was once a very different place. Around 30 million years ago, Egypt was bordered by just the Mediterranean Sea. But huge tectonic forces tore the Middle East apart, creating a new sea to the south of the Sinai Peninsula, the Red Sea. The high evaporation rates help make it one of the saltiest seas in the world. But this salt doesn't prevent life from thriving. Over 10% of this sea's fish species are found nowhere else on the planet. These garden eels could easily be mistaken for seaweed. But these colonies, often up to 1,000 strong, feed off the plankton sailing by. Anchored into the ocean floor, these eels may never leave their burrow, even when mating. The burrows act as a safe haven, retreating at the slightest disturbance. Not surprisingly, this true giant is enough to startle the garden eels. But they have nothing to fear. This whale shark is a filter feeder. Creeping at a modest pace of just 3 miles an hour, its huge mouth filters around 20 gallons every minute, consuming plankton through its gill rakers. It is the world's largest fish, typically around 40 feet in length, and weighs in at over 21 tons. Similar to the fingerprint of a human, the pattern of spots is unique to each individual. Over 3,000 years ago, stories of mermaids began to emerge here. But what fantastical beast could evoke such mystery? Some believe these sea mammals, known as a dugong, may be responsible for the ancient stories of mermaids. But its resemblance to a mermaid stops with its tail. Despite its elegance in the water, it is sometimes known for its less romantic name, the sea cow. Living in warm, shallow coastal waters, it consumes vast amounts of vegetation. The dugong is a large animal that can reach a length of over 11 feet and weigh nearly 2,000 pounds. Whiskers around the mouth, combined with a powerful, flexible snout, allow it to find and uproot the vegetation found in these warm waters. They can hold their breath for up to 6 minutes, plenty of time for its favorite activity, eating. Life also thrives on the coastline of the Red Sea. Banks of mangrove trees stretch along protected parts of the coast, yet they too have had to adapt to their environment. Mangroves have specialized roots to filter out as much salt as they can from this most saline of seas. It doesn't help that the ground in which they grow is regularly covered by the tide. With its roots needing oxygen, the mangroves are at risk of being suffocated. To counter this, the trees have evolved a unique way of reaching above the water to draw in precious air. As the high tide recedes, it reveals even more life. Male crabs crowd the beach, showing off their huge claws. During feeding, the action of their small claw over the large looks like they're playing a fiddle, leading to their name, the fiddler crab. Females are more modestly armed. Sifting through the sand, they consume the nutrients left behind by the retreating tide. For the males, battle is on the horizon. The bigger the claw and the quicker it's waved, the more impressive they will appear to potential mates. These displays also help protect their territories by scaring off rival males who are on the prowl for a new burrow. Fighting is inevitable. Claws become huge weapons in a test of strength. Sometimes claws are lost in battle. Fortunately, even when a limb is lost, the fiddler crab is able to regrow it. But this battlefield is governed by the tides. As the seas rise, peace descends. Despite its broad range of landscapes, volcanoes through to seemingly endless deserts, many of humankind's great civilizations, with all their wonder, emerged from this challenging corner of the world. And alongside them, a dizzying